The Oklahoma Sooners just landed the four-star edge, the elite four-star edge rusher out of Tulsa, Oklahoma from Noah High School. Yes, Danny Okoye. And this one's big because when we looked at our initial class predictions at the beginning of the year, Danny Okoye is not a kid that you were betting on to end up in this Oklahoma class. But as the tides turned, and as the season started, and as Danny Okoye started to give Oklahoma another look, Oklahoma quickly became a favorite to land the four-star edge out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it's a big deal, and we're going to talk about why here in a second. But before we dive into it, before we talk about it, I want to hear from y'all. What are y'all's thoughts around Danny Okoye? Do you think this is a big pickup for Oklahoma? Because I think this is one of the bigger pickups for Oklahoma in this class. Additionally, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and hit that subscribe button. And then jump down in the comments below. Man, I was out of order there, and it almost threw me off. But Oklahoma lands the four-star edge, Danny Okoye. And this is a big one for Oklahoma. Here's why. You land right now the number one player in the state of Oklahoma. I know some services say it's Zadavian Sims, but Danny Okoye definitely is a talented and elite prospect. And although he might not be seeing time on the field right now because of an injury, that doesn't basically scare you about what kind of talent and what Danny Okoye is going to be able to bring to this team. Danny Okoye is a guy that is extremely explosive off that line of scrimmage. And he's a guy that, he's going to be able to move offensive linemen. And he's going to be able to get into the backfield. And he's going to be able to wreak havoc, whether that's with the quarterback or whoever the ball carrier is going to be. And you can see that in his film that Danny Okoye just likes to eat. And Danny Okoye is not only aggressive, but dude can be straight up mean out there on the football field. And that's what you want in an edge rusher. You want somebody that is as aggressive as that, somebody that wants to go out there and eat, and somebody that likes to go out there and play the game of football, right? Because, sometimes these kids don't look like they enjoy it. Danny Okoye, he looks like he enjoys the game of football. But he joins this power line. That's what we're calling it this year, power line, with Nigel Smith, David Stone, Gilmore, and Nigel Smith. Now, you're missing a piece to this that a lot of OU fans are waiting on. You're still waiting on potentially flipping Williams Nwaneri. But the great news is Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis, they get an opportunity to really focus and really hone in on going out there and landing this guy. And now they can actually sell to Williams Nwaneri. Look at all of the elite talent that we have compiled on this defensive line. You need to come be a part of it. And Danny Okoye can be a part of this pitch. So you'd have to imagine that Danny Okoye is not only going to play a key role for Oklahoma on the field, but he's going to play a key role for Oklahoma on the recruiting trail. Because you land the number one player out of Tulsa, the number one player, again, according to some sites, but we think he is the number one player in the state of Oklahoma. This is not something that you have done previously. I think you've only done it like once or twice, maybe in the past couple of years. So for Oklahoma to be able to go out there and continue to do this and to really put that emphasis on the recruiting trail that Venables wants local kids, homegrown Oklahoma guys to play for the University of Oklahoma. Because there is a pride. If you come from this state, there is a specific amount of pride that comes for playing for Oklahoma. So I know a lot of people might say, hey, well, with Danny Okoye, if Oklahoma State would have recruited him, he might have went there. And that might be true. And Oklahoma State's got their own problems right now. And we'll make a separate video on that because I've heard some things about how they handle things on the recruiting trail that makes me scratch my head and go, man, Oklahoma State could be a better team than they are just regularly if they would recruit better. So, guys might want to keep your eyes out for that one. But to continue to talk about this 2024 class, this moves Oklahoma in the 247 composite rankings up to number 7. You are behind Florida State, Texas A&M at number 6 and number 5 at a 273.20 composite score. You have 2 5-stars, 12 4-stars, and 10 3-stars. And you would imagine that 10 of these 3-stars in this class, they're only going to continue to move up because a lot of these guys have had strong starts to the season. I mean, looking at some of the 3-stars, you've got Eli Bowen. At one point, I think at the beginning of the cycle was a 4-star. You got Michael Hawkins, who's just been absolutely balling out. Jaden Jackson, you guys have seen the film on him. How's this dude still sitting at a composite 3-star? You have Doji Ezukana. I'm going to get this wrong. I apologize. I never can get it right. Doze Ezukanama. And then you've got Andy Bass, a dude that in the state of Oklahoma, he just tears it up. And then you've got other guys like offensive linemen. You've got Josh Isosa, Isaiah Autry, Eugene Brooks. So you look at the talent that Oklahoma has gotten, and you would expect that, hey, you know, some of these 3-stars, they're going to go up to 4-star status, including Danny Okoye, because 247 composite rankings have him as a 3-star. So I really like where Oklahoma is at. I really like what they have done on the recruiting trail. And this defensive line consisting of David Stone, Jaden Jackson, Nigel Smith, Wyatt Gilmore, Danny Okoye. This is something we haven't seen Oklahoma do in a while. And this right now, as it sits, might be one of the best defensive line classes for the University of Oklahoma. So the question lies, what is next for Oklahoma on the recruiting trail? And that's a great question because you'd feel like the target list is getting really thin. And you're still waiting on the commitments of Devon Jordan, the 4-star corner out of Union, still in Tulsa. You still are waiting on the decisions from Michael Boganowski, Grant Bricks, Jordan Seaton, Eddie Pierre-Louis. You have Daniel Akinkumi, who, yes, I think is going to be at Oklahoma and seems to have developed a good relationship with Danny Okoye. Look at the interactions on Twitter. You tell me what y'all think there. And if you look at it, you say, probably the most likely candidates for Oklahoma to land, if you had a gun put to your head today, you would say Michael Boganowski, Devin Jordan, Daniel Akinkumi. The jury is still out on Grant Bricks because this is lasting longer than I think anybody really expected it would because, yeah, he's not committed yet. And Nebraska's not playing well. So you ask yourself, when's Nebraska not doing well going to have an effect on this recruitment? So on the defensive line, you're looking at some of these guys and you're going, well, what's next? Is there anybody else outside of Williams Nwaneri that we could go out there and flip or land? I think depending on the season that Stanford has, you could go out there and try to take a Stanford recruit. Well, who's that? That's going to be the likes of Benedict Umi out of Avon Old Farms, Avon, Connecticut. Yes, at 6'5", 260 pounds, that could be a prospect that you guys need to keep your eyes on. I don't think Oklahoma circles back around to a guy like Zadavian Sims or Kavion Henderson. I think definitely T.A. Cunningham's out at this point. He's at Penn State. That was a prospect Oklahoma fans a while ago would have told you that this was a guy that we had to land, but Oklahoma's got prospects still on the board, not very many. But Oklahoma has a chance to close this out as a top 5 class, maybe even better, depending on what guys you can flip. Not to mention, you still have a 5-star athlete in Terry Bussey, who seems like Oklahoma is quietly and sneakily making their way as a dark horse into this recruitment. But guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are on the 4-star edge rusher, Danny Okoye, out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a big win for Oklahoma. Big win. And Danny Okoye, he has an opportunity to come here and help change Oklahoma defensive line play. And as a freshman, he might not see the field a whole lot because that edge room is just super deep. But I'm going to tell you this, Danny Okoye is going to have a great career here. So if y'all haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and hit that subscribe button.